Welcome back to the She Cultivates Podcast. My name is Elizabeth Savillon, and welcome to another episode. Here we talk all things cultivating our best selves, community, relationship, your mindset. And if you are new here, make sure to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review. I would love to hear from you. I know we have a lot of new subscribers on YouTube as well as our audio only, but we do have the YouTube video for this episode. If you started listening to this podcast now, just to let you guys know, we have over 200 and something episodes that you can go back on to listen about, healing, mindset, business, relationships, growth, just lessons and things that I've learned throughout the years. And I'm so glad that 6 years ago, when I first started recording, I shared the mindset where I was at and seeing where I'm at now, and even certain mindsets and beliefs, that I have today, what I'm doing today versus then, and it's just amazing to see how you can evolve as a person, you can change, you can continue to grow, and every season is so different. And in this season, I am engaged, and that's been something that I started sharing a little bit more on my personal social media at Elizabeth Sabby, and I wanted to talk about the joy and grief that coexist within different seasons that you go through and walk through. And so for me in this past season, I shared that it has been a little difficult to navigate, especially because me and my fiance got engaged in February. And last year, when we were 4 months together, his mom tragically passed away. And so that was very unexpected. And that really changed a lot of things. We were able to get closer together and really walk through the grief, right? And are still walking through that. But I think that no one prepares you for the emotions that come when you are planning a wedding without a parent. And even though I am the partner, right, of someone that has lost his mom, I think just watching the person that you love so much, go through pain and grief, while this season is supposed to be very happy. And like what you see on social media, people are sharing all these little exciting moments and seasons, and it has looked very different for us, really because we decided that it just felt right for us, to have something more intimate. But it's also come with the maybe unmet or expectations that didn't follow through, how you thought it was going to look like this season, going to get your wedding dress or my wedding dress with my mother-in-law and, having this special relationship, right? And not having that has been hard, especially as you're planning the dances, who's going to be honored, and it's hard, it's sad. And I think that I have even realized that I haven't fully processed my own grief when it comes to that day when it happened, her not being here, that I miss her. And I wish I would have been able to know her longer, and I wish I would have had so many more memories with her. And navigating that while also navigating the stresses of, planning a wedding. And not only a wedding, I think it's no one talks about that you're preparing for a marriage. You're preparing to start your life out with someone else for the rest of your life. You are talking about, a deeper level of intimacy when it comes to finances, how you guys want your life to look like, different habits, you finding out things more about each other, right? You having harder conversations than when you were dating. It's another level within just about picking, flowers and colors and those things, which those things can be stressful and there's a place. But I think it's just realizing that it's you're going into the season in your 30s, and who you marry is one of the most important decisions that you make, so for me, I sometimes get anxiety around things, and I start thinking okay, how is this gonna look right now? We need to work on these things because they can get worse or better, or I start overthinking, and that's an area that I feel has come up more around this season. Because if you are someone that wants to have a lot of answers and wants a lot of clarity around things like me. I ask a lot of questions. Part of it is sometimes just overthinking things. And also because I really care about marriage. I really care about post the wedding day. I feel like a lot of people on social media, talk about the wedding day, the wedding day. And it's like that is such an important, right? Like fun activity and moment. But it really is like the post, and as we're like going through like couples therapy, I'm like, wow, do people like know what they're really getting into? Like, because I feel the weight of it. Like I feel the responsibility of like, okay, I need to work on my, pettiness that I can have sometimes, or, making sure that I communicate really what I really feel. And sometimes in those moments, right, like you glamorize a lot of, what conflict looks like, or like, oh yeah, we just have fun. But it's like, it's such a more like real thing. And like, of course, no one's going to go online and be like, this is the reality. But I genuinely love those couples that do, that share. And I've been listening to a few podcasts about that. Like, that engagement season is one of like the most stretching, growing seasons that you go through, especially going into marriage. I know marriage has its own challenges and own things. But as at least like from dating to engage, like the growth and the evolution of you as a person. And I see that, within my life. And I feel like in this season with, planning for our marriage and like thinking about all those things and like seeing areas that I need to continue to work on, and, my partner too, it it's like on top of that, it's like the grief, right? And so it's something hard to navigate, and we've had to have a lot of grace with each other to understand that we've never been in this is hard for anybody. You usually go through these things eventually in your life, right, as an adult, and it's something that I don't think we ever prepare for. But I think that the feeling between grief and joy is just something, it's like a dance, it's like you don't do it right all the time. And the past few weeks, we kind of got to the place where we're like, okay, like, how do I feel honestly, like about this whole season? And, there has been like some disappointment, some sadness, some like, I wish things were different. And I was in a lot of weddings in my 20s, and I was, a bridesmaid and had all these experiences. And a lot of my friends are in such different seasons, than me. And it's been something that I've had to come to conclusion with of like, it's okay to feel sad that it didn't look like how you thought it would. And maybe certain friendships have changed, certain relationships have changed. And there comes a lot of loss within this season. But it also just kind of brings clarity to like how it's going to look like, in the future. And so I'm super grateful for like the support system that I have had over these past few months, like my inner circle that like knows the hard days that I have had. And it can feel very, very lonely. I think also with the grief of his and the loss of his mom, I sometimes like was finding myself like comparing, certain like videos that I would see, and I'm like, wow, like that would have been nice, but like we're not going to get to do that. We don't have that, And like I'm so excited to get married. Like I'm so excited that I found the person that I love, and that we are, going to start our life together and like all those things. But it's also like the heaviness that comes with, and not knowing how to navigate the feelings that can come around it, right? And sometimes I would feel bad, like, should I be happy right now? Like, I remember in April when I went to go look for my dress, I was very, very stressed about the dress and the finances and the just having to shift, because we were going to do like a bigger wedding, and then we decided to just do a smaller, more intimate wedding or elopement. And I feel like I didn't allow myself to really feel like the day that I tried on my dress for the first time, because I was just dealing with all these other feelings. And then I kind of felt bad, because I'm like, should I feel happy around this? Like, I feel sad because, as we were going to see venues, and we were going to, do food tastings and all of this. It was like, wow, like it would have been so nice to have like your mom here, and it would be emotional and just, it's like a lot of unspoken but it's like, you know, that it's like, it's just a heaviness. And I think all of those things together have just made me realize that, like, okay, like there's the grief, right? And I feel it. And I felt over like flooded with like the emotions of sadness, that I feel like it was kind of taking away from like the joy within it. And I remember in one of our therapy sessions, I was like, you know, I just kind of like, I honestly feel really sad and like very discouraged and very disappointed, because I thought it was going to look different. Like I thought that, you know, in my 20s, like when my time would come, it would look a certain way. And it sometimes makes me feel like I'm like selfish for saying that, you know, but it's like, no, you're human, you know, like you thought certain things because this is life. There's things that happen unexpectedly, and there's things that we can't control, right? And it's like, how do you create, right? And like still have joy and hope in the midst of pain and suffering and hard things that happen in life that are not part of your plan, that you wish never happened. And sometimes it just sucks. Like honestly, sometimes that's all you can say. It's like, it just is hard and I wish this didn't happen, you know? But I feel like in this season, it has really brought us closer together. It has brought me closer together, closer to God, because really I realized like, wait, like God has given me hope and joy, you know, in the midst of pain and painful things that I walked through in my personal life. And it's the same in this season, you know, that I can find joy, right? I can activate joy. And find that, because it's still a blessing. It's still such a beautiful season of my life, and it's such a season of our life together as a couple. And we are going into something that God has created, which is marriage, right? And you know, to become one and to have a family, if that's in God's plan. So it's like, those are all things that it's something to be happy about. And I was like, I don't want to be robbed of my joy, you know? And so I was like, it is kind of like a choice of the perspective that you take around it, even though it's super difficult when you are in it, you know? Because there are days that, yeah, there's no words, you know, like this past weekend was the 1 year since she passed away. And yeah, we didn't really know how to navigate it. And, you know, I feel like it was like, okay, like whatever comes, you know, like I'm here with you in it. And you know, then like we have moments that it's like it's really good, you know. And so I think that's why on my social media I shared about, you know, we started something of doing something throughout. So I did like a part 1 of experiencing joy within this season, right? Because we have less than 3 months. We're super excited, but it's like, how can we cultivate joy and experience it and get to actually, you know, like take those moments and be like, okay, like today was a good day. Like, and also can still feel like having moments of sadness throughout, where it's like, it would have been nice to have his mom here, you know, it would have been nice. That, yeah, like to be a part of this, and like that this season would have looked a little bit different. And so I think there's just a lot of mixed emotions. And, you know, me sharing it on social media, there was women that shared in the comments of, you know, like, I can resonate with that. You know, I can, you know, I have a loss, and I also had, you know, a baby. And, you know, just knowing that my parent was going to be there for that season, you know. Another comment was about someone that experienced, you know, just a child that had a diagnosis, right, for them. And it's like experiencing the grief and joy of knowing that like there's certain experiences that you won't experience. There's certain things that you won't get, right? But there's still so much joy in the gift of that child, you know? And it just made me realize that it's like, that is something that we have to learn to experience. And that's something that I am like learning to navigate, of like that dance, you know, between joy and grief, right? And sorrow and the things that we experience in this world. And yeah, just having grace around it, because like if you never experienced those things until you're in it, then you're like, oh, maybe I thought I would handle it this in such a different way, but that's not the reality. Like we have these emotions, right? And we have these real thoughts and experiences, and it's okay to validate that, but also still be hopeful and still, enjoy those moments and still be grateful, right, for the things that you do have. So it's definitely been a learning season, a stretching season. So, as we are going on a little break for this podcast, I am turning 31 in September, and then I'm also getting married in October and then going on our honeymoon. And yeah, then the holidays. So, it's going to be a pretty busy next few months. And so, I'm going to take a little break from this podcast and I will be coming back probably early spring of next year. And so a lot of things are changing, right? Like moving out, moving in, and have to also figure out like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to have my office here where it's at, or is it going to be over there? But how is my clothes going to fit in there? Because I have a lot of clothes and there's a little closet, so there's a lot of adjustments happening. And also even when She Cultivates, there's a lot of changes, things that we are launching and working on the back end. For September, we are launching something really exciting. And also, we're doing an event in August as well as November. So it's going to look very different, but I am just really excited because I want to continue to offer things that are of value to our community, but also understanding that like this season is just where I'm at. And it's like, I was like, I don't think I should be doing a huge event right before my wedding. That's probably not the smartest thing. So I am going to take a break in September, October, and be back November for an event. So if you aren't following us, make sure to do so at She Cultivates ORL, where we have very exciting things coming for you guys. And if you're a local, I would love to see you there. I love our community when they come out, and people that listen to the podcast that are like, hey, like I listened to your podcast. It always is just really heartwarming. And if there's a topic that you guys want me to talk about when I come back, then we can do so, because I am just always grateful for each of you guys that reach out, that, listen, that go to the events. Like, I'm just super grateful for this community, and I will miss you guys. So wish me all the luck, and I hope that you guys have a great rest of your year as we wrap up, because I know we're already halfway through, and that is crazy. But as we go into this fall season, I hope that you know that you are not alone. You know that if you're someone that resonates with this topic of navigating grief and joy, I'm here, I am praying for you, and you will get through this season. Maybe I saw something the other day that was like, maybe we should set like a date like 6 months down the line on our calendar to be like, okay, we made it. Like things are better. Like things are like, you feel like a little breath of fresh air, because things will be okay. Like it will all be okay. And even on those days that you don't feel okay, it's okay to validate that. But there's also knowing that it's like you're not the only one that's going through it, and that's a very real emotion. And so I'm very, very excited for all the things to come. But make sure to follow me at Elizabeth Sabby for updates, because I'm posting more on there, as well as She Cultivates. And I will see you guys next year. Take care.